A gynecologist had become fed up with malpractice insurance and HMO paperwork, and was burned out. Hoping to try another career where skillful hands would be beneficial, he decided to become a mechanic. He went to the local technical college, signed up for evening classes, attended diligently, and learned all he could. When the time of the practical exam approached, the gynecologist prepared carefully for weeks and completed the exam with tremendous skill. When the results came back, he was surprised to find that he had obtained a score of 150%. Fearing an error, he called the instructor, saying, "I don't want to appear ungrateful for such an outstanding result, but I wonder if there is an error in the grade." The instructor said, "During the exam, you took the engine apart perfectly, which was worth 50% of the total mark. You put the engine back together again perfectly, which is also worth 50% of the mark." After a pause, the instructor added, "I gave you an extra 50% because you did it all through the muffler, which I've never seen done in my entire career." 1. The new priest is nervous about hearing confessions, so he asks an older priest to sit in on his sessions. The new priest hears a couple confessions, then the old priest asks him to step out of the confessional for a few suggestions. The old priest suggests, cross your arms over your chest and rub your chin with one hand. The new priest tries this. The old priest suggests, try saying things like, "I see, yes, go on, and I understand. How did you feel about that?" The new priest says those things. The old priest says, "Now, don't you think that's a little better than slapping your knee and saying, 'No shit'? What happened next?" A man is getting into the shower just as his wife is finishing up her shower when the doorbell rings. The wife quickly wraps herself in a towel and runs downstairs. When she opens the door, there stands Bob, the next-door neighbor. Before she says a word, Bob says, "I'll give you $800 to drop that towel." After thinking for a moment, the woman drops her towel and stands in front of Bob. After a few seconds, Bob hands her $800 and leaves. The woman wraps back up in the towel and goes back upstairs. When she gets to the bathroom, her husband asks, "Who was that?" "It was Bob, the next-door neighbor," she replies. "Great," the husband says. "Did he say anything about the $800 he owes me?" 3. Three youngsters were in the midst of a spirited debate to determine who had the swiftest dad. "My dad is the fastest!" Anya exclaimed excitedly. "He's a builder and can chuck a brick off the 5th floor, race down the stairs, and catch it before it even hits the ground." "That's nothing," Brad boasted. "My dad is much faster. He's a professional archer and can target an arrow at a wolf's head, fire it, and then run and grab the creature before the arrow even lands." "Incredible," exclaimed Tommy. "But I think my father is way faster." "What makes you say that?" asked Anya and Brad curiously. "My father has been working at the DMV for 20 years, Tommy answered. "He's expected to be off work at 5 p.m., but he's so speedy he's home by 1. A trucker came into a truck stop coffee shop and placed his order. He said, "I want 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and pair of running boards." The brand new blonde waitress, not wanting to appear stupid, went to the kitchen and said to the cook, "This guy out there just ordered 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and a pair of running boards. What does he think this place is? An auto parts store?" "No," the cook said. 3 flat tires mean 3 pancakes. A pair of headlights is 2 eggs sunny side up. And running boards are 2 slices of crisp bacon." "Oh, okay," said the blonde. She thought about it for a moment and then spooned up a bowl of beans and gave it to the customer. The trucker asked, "What are the beans for, Blondie?" She replied, "I thought while you were waiting for the flat tires, headlights, and running boards, you might as well gas up." 5. A woman walks into a bar. He's very inebriated, so she stumbles to the bartender. "I will have a whiskey schlower," she slurs. "I can't serve you, ma'am, you've had too much." The barkeep informs her. Looking disgruntled, she walks out the front door. A few minutes later, she walks in through the side entrance. "Barkeep, give me gin and ginger." She hiccups. "As I told you before, I can't serve you. Would you like me to get you a cab?" the bartender says patiently. Looking quizzically at the bartender, she shakes his head and stumbles out. A few minutes later, she walks in the front door again. "Give me blue motorcycle," she demands. "Look, ma'am," the bartender says sternly, having lost his patience. "If you do not let me call you a cab, I'm going to have to call the police." She peers at him with red, blurry eyes and mumbles, "How many friggin' bars do you work at?" A timekeeper at a bustling factory has one crucial responsibility: blowing the whistle for the lunch break precisely at noon. Every day she watches the clock, and as soon as it strikes 12, she blows the whistle. But one day, she accidentally drops her watch, and a pang of worry strikes. What if the time is now off? Determined to ensure accuracy, she decides to have her watch adjusted by a professional clockmaker. At the clockmaker's shop, she explains her job and the importance of her watch being perfectly accurate. The clockmaker reassures her, saying, "Relax, I set your watch to match my clocks in the back. They're accurate because I reset them each Sunday morning when the church bells chime at exactly 6 a.m. Satisfied, she heads back to the factory, but starts to wonder, how does the church know it's exactly 6 a.m.? Still curious, she goes to the church and finds the bell ringer. She asks him how he knows to ring the bells on time and whether he keeps his watch accurate. The bell ringer nods confidently, replying, "I ring the bells right when my watch strikes 6 a.m. I'm positive it's correct. I double-check every day at noon when I hear the factory whistle." Several years ago, Andy was sentenced to prison. During his stay, he got along well with the guards and all his fellow inmates. The warden noticed that, beneath it all, Andy was a decent man and arranged for him to learn a trade during his sentence. After 3 years, Andy had gained a reputation as one of the finest carpenters around. Occasionally, he was even granted weekend passes to do odd jobs for people in the community, and he always returned to prison by Sunday night, without fail. The warden, thinking of remodeling his kitchen, had already tackled much of the work himself, but struggled with building a set of kitchen cabinets and a large countertop, something he had promised his wife he'd complete. So he called Andy into his office and asked if he'd finish the job for him. But Andy shook his head and politely declined. "Gosh, I'd really like to help you," he told the warden, "but counterfeiting is what landed me in prison in the first place."